Moving on to chapter 7, real numbers and Pythagorean theorem. Now, I do have the notes for you that you would have gotten if we were still together. So those notes I am also going to link in Google Classroom, so you can either look at them, print them out if you're able to print them, or if you have paper and pencil, you could just copy down the notes, okay? And I would suggest making either a folder now or something where you could keep everything together. All right, so let's begin. The first thing that we're going to look at in chapter 7 is square root, okay, raíz cuadrado. So let's just go through it. So square root, you're going to notice that there is this symbol, okay? This is the symbol for square root, and it does have a name, okay? It's called the radical sign. Now, when we think of square root, all right, if you were to think of the word square, well, if I told you to square the number 3, tres cuadrado, what does that mean? If you were thinking 3 times 3, you're correct, okay? So 3 squared, we know is 9. Now, with square root, if I wanted to find square root of 9, let's say, it's asking me what number times itself did I use to get 9, okay? So as you can see over here on the side, square root of 9 is equal to, now squared root. So again, I want to think of what number, ¿qué número cuadrado me dio 9? 3. Very good. Okay, sabemos que 3 por 3 me da 9. Entonces, square root of 9 is going to equal 3. Now, what if I gave you square root of 16? Raíz cuadrado de 16. What are you thinking for? Because that's what the answer is. How about if I give you square root of 100? Raíz cuadrado de 100. Did you get 10? Because you are correct. Okay, again, 4 times 4 gives you 16. So when I look for the square root of 16, simplemente quiero saber cuál número multiplicado 2 veces me dio 16. 4. Same thing with 100. ¿Qué número multiplicado 2 veces me dio 100? 10. 10 por 10, 100. All right, and that is how square root basically works. All right, if you take a look over here, now we have a little bit of vocabulary. Okay, and it's kind of hard to see, but we'll go through it together. Again, the square root of a number that when multiplied by itself equals the given number. Okay, that little symbol is called the radical sign, like we said, and again, it represents your square root. Now, the number, el número, underneath that sign is called your radicand. Okay? Every number, okay, every positive number has a positive and a negative square root. All right, and if you take a look down here, where I'm showing you, you'll see why. Okay, now if you look, a positive square root, you're just going to notice it just says square root of 16. And 16, 4 times 4, is going to be positive 4. Now negative, you'll notice that there's a negative sign, un signo que es negativo, in front of the square root. So now you know that you're looking for a negative. Now, when we say that there is a negative square root, because we know negative times negative equals a positive. So that's why when we talk about square roots, we could have a number that's positive or we could have a number that is negative. If I'm looking for both square roots, positivo y negativo, you're going to notice that there is a little sign with a plus and minus in front of the square root. Okay? Entonces, enfrente te va a dar un signo positivo y negativo. Ahí eso te va a indicar que su respuesta tiene que ser positivo y tiene que ser negativo. All right, and there I zoomed in a little bit more for you. Now, there is such a thing called perfect squares. Okay? Now, your perfect squares are nice because they have exactly an answer, okay? No te va a dar un decimal, it's not going to give you a fraction, nothing like that, okay? You're going to end up with a whole number. So if you look here, aquí está una lista up to 30 of the perfect squares, okay? Uno cuadrado, sabemos that it's 1 times 1. Okay, entonces, if I ask you for the square root of 1, es simplemente 1. 2 squared significa 2 por 2. So, 2 por 2 es 4. Entonces, si te pregunto el raíz cuadrado de 4, la respuesta sería 2. And you can see going down the line. 3 cuadrado, 9. Entonces, el raíz cuadrado de 9 es 3. 4 cuadrado es 16. Entonces, el raíz cuadrado de 16 es 4. 7 cuadrado, okay, es 49. Entonces, el raíz cuadrado de 49 es 7. And that continues all the way down, okay, to infinity. Okay, estos son solamente los primeros 30 that you can then find. All right, so let's do a little bit of practice. Now, here, in example number 1, they are asking you, encuentra los dos, the 2 square roots of 49. Y acuérdate, dijimos 2 porque tenía un número que puede ser positivo y tenía un número que puede ser negativo. Entonces, 49. If you think about it, 7 por 7 es 49. Now that's the positive. How about the negative? Yep, eso también trabaja. Negative 7 times negative 7 todavía te da positivo 49. Entonces, cuando ellos te preguntan las dos respuestas, los dos raíz cuadrado, ellos están hablando de positivo y negativo. So, square root of 49 would be 7 and negative 7. Let's look at these examples here. So here it just says find the square roots. Okay? So letter A, el raíz cuadrado de 25. Well, if I think about it, yo sé que 5 por 5 me da 25. Okay, so the square root of 25 is 5. Now, if you look at the problem, usted va a notar que enfrente no hay un signo de negativo, ni está el signo de positivo y negativo. So this is telling me that for letter A, la única respuesta que ellos quieren saber es el valor que es positivo, okay, the positive value. So your answer just stays positive 5. In letter B, you're going to notice that there is a negative symbol in front. So they want your negative answer. Now, what do you know about 9 and 16? When you have a fraction like this, quiero que usted para primero y piensa, los números en la fracción, are they perfect squares? ¿Son cuadros perfectos or are they not? En este caso, 9 y 16 son cuadros perfectos. Okay, they are perfect squares. Entonces yo voy a pensar, I'm going to think about this problem y voy a ver que, ok, yo puedo sacar el raíz cuadrado de 9 y puedo sacar raíz cuadrado de 16. That's going to help me here. Now, raíz cuadrado de 9, ¿cuál número es? 3. y de 16 es 4. So when I'm looking at the square root here, I know it's 3/4, but remember they wanted the negative. So your answer is going to be negative 3/4. In letter C, look what's in front. I have a positive and negative, okay? Ese es el signo que te va a decir que la respuesta tiene que ser los dos, positivo y negativo. So now the only thing that I'm thinking is, 2.25. ¿Cuál número multiplicado 2 veces me da 2.25? If you were thinking 1.5, you are correct, okay? 1.5 por 1.5 me da 2.25. So here, your answer no es solamente 1.25, pero tiene que ser los dos, positivo y negativo. And yes, usted puede ver este signo que usan right there. And I believe in Big Ideas también tenía ese botón. All right, let's take a look down here. Here are some few extra practice problems, okay? If you want to try them on your own, and then I could go over those in tomorrow's call with you guys if you would like. All right, moving on to evaluating square roots. Now, de nuevo, evaluación, evaluate. Yo quiero saber un valor de la expresión. Okay, so here también tenía que saber su orden de operaciones, okay, your order of operations. Now, we always say that do parentheses first, okay, empieza con los paréntesis. Pero aquí, ahora que estamos trabajando con square roots, usted tiene que saber, okay, we're going to evaluate, vamos a resolver el square root primero. Okay, esa va a ser la primera cosa que vamos a encontrar. So in this first problem, 5 por el raíz cuadrado de 36 más 7, I'm going to evaluate that square root. Now, el raíz cuadrado de 36 es 6. Why? Si usted estaba pensando por qué 6 por 6 es 36, you're correct. Okay, now 5 está fuera de ese signo. That means I'm going to multiply. Entonces, 5 por 6, sé que es 30, plus 7, 37. Okay, let's look at B. De nuevo, we want to do the square root first. Now look at this square root. Here, 18. Is it perfect? 2. Is it perfect? No, okay? 18, no hay ningún número que yo puedo, that I could square that would give me 18. Y 2, tampoco, no hay ningún número multiplicado 2 veces que me va a dar 2. So these are not perfect squares. Lo que voy a hacer es simplificarlo primero. Okay? So my 1/4 I'm going to keep. Plus, now, 18 sobre 2. I know that that is 18 divided by 2. Okay? ¿Y cuánto es 18 dividido entre 2? 9. All right, so I'm going to do 1/4 plus square root of 9, which is 3, and that gives me 3 1/4. Letter C. Now, letter C is special, okay? Because I noticed two things. Primero tengo el raíz cuadrado, y después I have my squared symbol. So I have the square root squared. Now, if you've noticed already, squared and square root are kind of opposites. So what's going to happen? Let's take a look. If you have the square root squared, because they're the opposite, they technically cancel out. And you are left with just 81. Minus 5 is equal to 76. So the problem was square root of 81, and the whole thing is squared. Now, if I'm looking at square root of 81, I know that that's going to be 9. Okay? Now, all of this has to be squared. So I'm taking this and I'm squaring it again. Well, what does this mean? This means that I have 9 times 9. And what is 9 times 9? 81. It brings me back to the original number that was in there. That's why I could say that these two cancel out. Let's take a look at another one that works like that. What if I have square root of, let's say, 25, but it's now squared? All right, so square root of 25, I know that this is equal to 5. 5 squared, well, that's your 5 times 5 is 25, bringing you right back to the same answer that you had. So that's why when you notice a square root squared, instead of doing all of this, we just say that this cancels and you're left with just the number that's inside the radical symbol. Okay? All right, let's go back to the notes. A crop circle is 45,216 square feet. What is the radius of the crop circle? Use 3.14 for pi. So the first thing I want to think of is my area formula. Okay, so I know area equals, and you can't really see that. Okay, area of a circle would be your pi r squared. Now, it tells me right here in the problem that the area is 45,216 square feet. So where I see area, that's where I'm going to put my 45,216. Now for pi they told me to use the number 3.14 because we know pi goes on forever. So I'm going to have 3.14 r squared. Okay, now I just need to solve it. So if I'm going to solve this problem, my first thing is I'm going to divide up my two sides. This is multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide by 3.14, divide by 3.14. That cancels. Over here, this gives me 14,400. Now, yes, you can use a calculator. All right, so from what we looked at the last problem, 2, if I have r squared, how do I cancel out that square? Remember, the opposite of square is square root. So I'm going to go ahead to cancel this square. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. My squares will now cancel, and I'll be left with just r. Okay, el raíz cuadrado, 14,400 is 120. I know that's what you were thinking. So, again, you can use a calculator with this problem. Okay? So below are the rest of the on your owns that you could complete on your own. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Now after this, you're going to go and try some practice problems, and then you will go and do a quick little exit ticket. Okay, tomorrow I'll post a link up if you guys have any questions, or look for it later on tonight for the time which I will be available to answer your questions on square root. All right, have a great day, guys.